Serious, what are some difficult skills that you could become impressively good at over a weekend? I.e. you learn 60% of the skill in short amount of time, but that last 40% can take years to master? Knitting and crocheting definitely fit the bill. Knitting usually utilizes only two moves, knit and purl, add increasing and decreasing stitches, and you can probably make any stuffed animal. Similarly, crochet has a single, half double, and double crochet that covers most projects. But you have to worry about proper tension, color changes, knitting and crocheting and around to completely different things. Double knitting, crochet clusters, and a ton of special stitches that aren't used all that often. They create great designs, but you could probably learn one or two of them a year, and only for that one project that looked really cool. Spinning fits the bill, too. I got a drop spindle and a little bit of roving, and learned the basics over a couple afternoons. But people who really know what they're doing produce some incredible yarns. Solving a Rubik's Cube. You can easily learn the beginner's method over the weekend, but learning the more advanced algorithms can take many weeks. Plus you can get into different cube sizes from there or blindfolding runs. True, but BLD is too hard tbh. Been cubing for 5 years and still cannot inspect the first pair. I can barely predict the cross most of the time, let alone the first F2L pair. Can memo the whole thing for BLD in 1:30-2 minutes. Emo cooking. Following recipes and cutting vegetables is easy enough, but to do it with the skill and precision of professional cooks takes years of practice. Also coming up with recipes that take how different ingredients mesh with each other into consideration. Good answer. It bugs me how many people, even way older than me, say they can't cook. I can make almost anything, if given the recipe, and I'm only 17. But a lot of my peers or even people 10 plus years older than me say they can't cook anything other than instant ramen. Anyone can learn to cook, but being a talented chef takes years. Anyone can learn to cook, but being a talented chef takes years. Agreed. You can get far by chopping vegetables and throwing them into a skillet that can easily be turned into e.g., taco/burrito filling, chow mein, or a pasta dish. People are just too scared to experiment. And to be fair, I understand their fear. Many people are taught by their parents to never throw away food. If it's burnt, or it came out slimy, well, it's still dinner and you gotta eat it. Few would want to experiment when they'd be forced to eat their failures. Hanging drywall. I finished a large basement with my dad, and after a few days of drywall I wanted to die, even with that lift machine. Duck ceilings. I did like 3,000 square feet of ceiling using just a dead man's brace one summer. 10/10ths do not recommend. Edit, a letter. Chess. Learning the rules and how pieces move is pretty easy, but it's going to take a long time to become a master. A video game. Learn the controls in 3 days, but won't be pro until like 5 years later. Let me guess. Go. Animal Crossing. Poker and other card games. This is a really good one. Send anyone smart to Vegas with a master in 48 hours and they will easily be 60% minus 70% as good as the master afterwards. But they are still years and years away from being as good. Poker is full of 70% and 80%. Can these 70 to 80%ers consistently turn a profit at casinos? Origami. You can certainly get to the point where you make a proper crane, flapping or non-flap variety. Learning the real intricate stuff takes time and a delicate touch, but you could memorize a lot of the staples pretty quickly. I can make frogs and only frogs. Buying as much paper as possible and making it all into frogs has been my quarantine project. I probably have a few hundred by now. Driving. The distance between I've never sat behind the wheel on Friday night and I just drove a 200-mile round trip on Sunday night ain't crazy, but you'll have years to go until you're capable of racing/stunts/parachuting out of a C-130. Just to be a pain in the ass, I'd agree that you could drive a couple hundred miles on the open highway after a couple days of practice. but I'm doubtful most people could navigate through a city or compete with the lawlessness of the Garden State Parkway in that short of time. At least not unless it was life or death, and I'd include that kind of stuff in the first 60% of driving. Lawlessness of the Garden State Parkway. As someone who has driven in several major cities in the US and abroad, lots of highways, including many runs up down NJ's Turnpike and GSP, I assure you that you have it good compared to the highways here in LA. Throwing knives, a free weekend with space to practice, and a relatively durable target, like an old dartboard with the wire removed. You'd be surprised how good it's possible to get once the muscle memory is locked in, so they're hitting point first each time. It's just a matter of fine-tuning the accuracy. Admittedly, it's not the most useful thing in the world to be good at, but it can be a rather soothing and mildly hypnotic pastime. And as long as you keep an eye out for the cat, you'll never be without a use for your ex-wife's bloody or full collection of paperbacks. I'll admit I thought the comment was going somewhere else at the end there. A lot of survival techniques, basic fire building, shelter construction, water purification, snare building etc. It'll take years to master even one region's relevant skills, but you can become a passable survivalist relative to the general population in a weekend. Additionally, console video games, basic cooking techniques, a lot of sports at the recreational level. Of course, the honest answer is that humans tend to learn pretty darn quick, and in a weekend you can pick up the basic skills of a huge range of activities. Just don't expect to be any good compared to your peers who actually practice. Plan. Never forgotten it since I learned it at 15 or something. Protection, location, acquisition, navigation. Fishing. It's not hard to grab a rod/reel combo, some lures or hooks/bobbers/live bait and go out. You're pretty much sure to catch some fish. I've been fishing for the vast majority of my life though, 30, and I wouldn't even begin to say I'm a master of it. Edit, in case anyone wants to go. Remember, you'll probably need to buy a license. I'm 35 and fishing/hunting is at the top of the things I'd like to take up. I'll be happy to catch a few here and there while enjoying the scenery. Just beware. Being a crack addict would probably be cheaper than fishing can be. It doesn't have to be, but it's funny how many things you end up needing. Laundry. Edit. Didn't mean to offend you. Edit 2. I just came back and got a huge surprise by this. I kinda feel this is aimed at me. This whole thread was a thinly veiled intervention. Your family and I are concerned about you. Making plastic models. You can build a model tank in a couple days, but it takes years of practice to make one that looks good. Where do you get plastic from that you can mold into tank parts? Usually you can just buy kits with all the parts pre-shaped. You just have to put it together and paint it. Mine is not over the weekend, but the last 4 months. As a female, I have done my entire house from floor to ceiling myself. I've repaired cracks in walls and floors, painted, took up old carpet, tile, and laid down wood flooring and fresh clean tile. I've done plumbing, cabinetry, and even had to re-drywall some areas of the home. I even had to redo an entire master shower as it was done incorrectly, not to mention replacing the motor to my AC unit. It's been a pain in the ass and I've been doing it since March, but my house looks phenomenal. Plus, it's done correctly, unlike the previous homeowners who use caulking, roofing nails, and tons of other random things to mask the problems within the home when I bought it. That being said, I have done housework such as this growing up, but not to the extent of redoing an entire home at once. Makes me kind of want to change jobs and flip houses for a living, or be a general contractor. I'm envious of your daring to just go do it. I'm impressed. Thank you. I wish I would say it's more daring to do it, but it's more of a necessity as the house was cracking due to the incompetence of previous owners. Regardless, it's hard labor, but extremely rewarding as each room is completed. I'm about a week or 2 off of having the whole house done, as well as my 1.5-acre yard somewhat brought back to life. I'm really consider doing house flipping in the near future, as it's the only thing that job wise I've really enjoyed. I just worry about the economy due to the pandemic, so I might hold off on buying another till it passes. although I'd hire in someone for electrical work, unless it's something small like lights, fans, etc. If I needed a complete rewire I wouldn't touch it. The rest I'm pretty confident on doing, and I have all the tools to complete it. Best purchase ever was a spray gun, to paint the entire house. That and my table saw. Pistol shooting. IPSC or IDP style. You can learn to hit targets with very little practice. But getting good at the whole thing, hitting targets quickly, reloads, shooting on the move, shooting from awkward positions, shooting with weak hand only, etc. can take the rest of your life. This really interests me. I just got an airsoft pistol and would love to impress my friends. Lol. Breathing, trigger pull, sight alignment and adjustment. I don't know about airsoft ammunition, but the basic to figure out is to zero your particular aim point. Get a fresh paper target, aim carefully at the center, take 3 carefully aimed shots at the exact same point. Do not try to adjust, your distance should be your distance that you are planning to zero. 50 feet for pistols, Ike. 300 meters for an R15/M16, if your round grouping is good, meaning very close together, then adjust the sight. If your round grouping is very large, then practice firing. When you have finished exhaling, use that natural pause in your breathing and fire then. Squeeze the trigger. Don't pull it. It should be a surprise when it goes off. Round goes up or down from aim point. It's your breathing. Left or right. You are pushing or pulling the trigger. Knitting. There are only 2 stitches to learn to get started, plus casting on and off, the knit and the purl. There are other variations on them, as well as techniques to increase or decrease stitches and cable knitting and whatnot, but the basic stitches are super easy to learn. It just takes some practice to get fast at it and have everything come out even. Make inflatable balloon animals. I learned to make a dog and a snake in less than an hour, but the rest is way more difficult. Inflating those balloons is the most difficult BTW. However, this skill absolutely bangs it on a party or festival. Haha snake. Making websites with HTML, CSS and JS. I know it was hard, but no haha. JS is kinda hard, but even if you don't have any experience with coding you can still make functional websites. But Holly should try making them look good without Bootstrap, and you are going to have a migraine. Yeah, that's right. Having sex. Been doing it for decades. Getting worse. Look at it like it's a workout. Motion of the ocean get the pirate to the potion. Swinging poi/raving easiest way is sticking some tennis balls in a pair of socks and swinging them around. Warning, you will hit yourself in the balls/face a few times. My practice poi have hacky sacks in them. Hitting yourself in the back of the head is the worst. At least when it's coming towards your face you learn how to react and pull them away before they whack you. It's a lot of fun though. Yeah, tennis balls hurt, but I was going for something everyone probably has in their house already. I usually just used old glow sticks on shoelaces once I got started. Archery. Very true. I'm on my high school archery team as a recurve shooter. It didn't take very long to hit the target, but it's way harder to hit the middle every time. Fire spinning. You can learn enough to impress the average person very quickly, but to impress other spinners you'll have to be at it for quite a while. Baseball. You can get down the basics fundamentals, but to master anything is hard. Take hitting for example, the best in the world only succeed 3 out of 10 times. Having a good/bad pitcher makes a difference. Ping pong. Pinball. If you have an experienced player show you the basic moves and strategy you will be impressing new players instantly. Next you find your favorite machine and learn the specific gamma play rules. You'll win every game against players who haven't taken Pinball 101. I had no idea there was a world of pinball players. Neat. Smoking meat. In a couple days you can get the basics. Make edible meat. But to be great at it takes years of experience. Use a dry rub. Cook it slow and low. And pick meat with a high fat content. These are the only basics you need. If I can't bend a brisket almost in half due to the marbling, It's not ever going to be as moist and tender as I need it to be. If I try to rush and cook over an open flame to get up to temperature quickly, it's going to be tough. If I rely on flavoring after rather than before, well, I actually don't even want to imagine that, since I'm pretty sure my dad would teleport to wherever I was to yell at me for wasting meat. I tend to use prime beef, but choice works well too. But I'm kind of a purist with brisket. Nothing but coarse salt and pepper. I use oak as well. I wrap and foil for the final few hours and the just collects in the foil. Made one just last weekend, and it was perfect. Years ago I ruined the first couple I made, but haven't made a bad one in years. You learn. Lol. That was the point of my post. You can read a couple articles and make something you can enjoy, but to do it right takes a lot of practice and experience. I haven't made anything but perfect ribs in years as well, but it takes time to get the techniques down. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.